Hello,
All
everybody.
right. Are we live?
Yep.
Live. Well, fantastic. We'll give everyone a minute or two just to get settled. In the meantime, I'll share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and get started. And so, Greg, I know that we're live on YouTube broadcasting. Is that true?
That is true. I made a quick adjustment. It was set to private, but now it's public, and now it should be out there for everybody.
Awesome. Just in time. Fantastic. All righty. Well, hello, everyone on YouTube as well as on our Teams webinar. So we're live today, coming from a few different areas, which is the beauty of remote and having a distributed workforce that you can work through one platform. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. So welcome and thank you so much for joining us for our webinar, Make a Big Impact with Acumatica ERP. We're going to show you what our clients do, maybe small little things, but they actually make a really big impact when it comes to running your business. All right, let's go over to the agenda. So today's agenda, we're going to go over the product overview of Acumatica Cloud ERP, using Acumatica daily on your mobile device, field services and how to mobilize your teams, and then we'll end with a live Q&A. So let's get over for some introductions on the next. All righty. So we'll have our videos on here so you can see us and we can wave to you and say hello. Here we have Gregg Mercede, our CEO. Samantha DeFord, our Director of Sales. Paul Layton, our Senior Manager of Customer Solutions. And myself, I'm Justine Crowley, and I'm the VP of Client Success. So now I'm going to pass it over to you, Greg, to talk a little bit about how our role with Acumatica blends together for a perfect duo, partner and product.
Okay. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody that's watching. Want to talk about Cloud9 ERP solutions for a moment. Here we're here to talk about Acumatica and how it can make a big impact for your business. As a product, as a software product, you need the right partner. And Cloud9 ERP Solutions, we are a gold certified partner, reseller. We implement, we train, we have a development lab, and we do all of our ongoing support. We help you out. We help your business grow. We have successful implementations across multiple industries. We are highly rated with customer satisfaction. Our CSAT scores are extremely high. And we have an exclusive group. We don't cater to many different products. We're exclusive to Acumatica, and therefore we have experts that are specific to Acumatica. And then we talk about software. We talk about Acumatica. Acumatica is the only cloud browser-based ERP software for small and medium-sized businesses. It was born in the cloud. Acumatica is 100% partner-driven. That's why you want to get a great partner that can help you. And they're development-focused. Because they're partner-driven, 100%, they don't focus on sales and marketing as much. They focus on the product. And the product, they're able to put that investment into the product and really evolve it from a functionality standpoint, but also from a platform standpoint. Moving on. So when we talk about a modern platform, which is what Acumatica is, born in the cloud, What we want to do in looking at this slide is looking from the bottom up. So we look at the bottom, the tech stack that Acumatica uses. How is it hosted? It can be hosted any different types of ways. You see AWS and Azure, very small down there, but that's the hosting platform. From a development standpoint, it uses Visual Studio, millions of developers that use Visual Studio and C# and .NET framework. So very popular there. It uses HTML5, right? Very advanced HTML5. It makes it more of a billboard of a product, but more of an application in the web. It can be used, the database backend can be anything from MySQL database to SQL Server. Microsoft SQL Server is the most common, or you can use AWS's Aurora. But as we move up, the Acumatica Cloud Platform, with all of those benefits that we talked about, now when we layer on its ability as a platform, web platform, its ability to have things like single sign-on, role-based security to any screen, any field in the software, its ability to be multi-tenant, multilingual, its ability to easily adapt and be diversified to your needs in a low-code, no-code type framework, easily connect to different other applications. It's a multi-cloud world out there, so it's important that we're able to talk to some best-of-breed applications out there. You want to try and do things with as little technologies as possible, platforms as possible, but Acumatica is hooked up and can be connected to nearly anything out there with its integration and web services. Any browser will work. We're going to talk about the mobile framework throughout this demonstration. It has reporting and analytics that goes across everywhere in the platform. And again, we're just talking about platform right now. We're not talking about functionality yet. And then Visual Studio templates, your ability to add and adapt different types of templates to the system for different purposes. So now we have that, and now we have the functionality. The Acumatica Cloud ERP, which is built on this platform, has a manufacturing edition. It's strong in distribution. Manufacturing, it's won many awards over the years. Retail Commerce Edition, one of the few products that out of the box connects to Shopify Partner, and BigCommerce. We talk about the right best-of-breed technologies. Well, BigCommerce and Shopify, those are great products out there. Acumatica integrates without any middle tier. We have a construction edition. We have best-in-class modules: financial, customer management, payroll, project accounting, and field service. We're going to talk about field service in a little bit. So these are the things that build our platform, why we're so fond of our platform and so proud of it, because of all these underlying technologies that build up to that functionality that you need on a day-to-day basis. Next slide.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. And speaking of making a big impact, I'm sure our audience would love to know more about the impact Acumatica is making in the SMB space.
Yeah, so from a scalability and satisfaction standpoint, Acumatica is the fastest growing cloud ERP company over the past 8 years. So over 10,000 customers. We have 270 global ISVs. What's an ISV? It's an independent software vendor that writes software that works in the Acumatica platform. We could talk about that a little bit, but they're either very heavily integrated, they look like they are in Acumatica, or they're on the side with one of those web service integrations we talked about. A very high net promoter score, plus 32, and over $250 billion of dollars transacted into the Acumatica system.
Thank you. And of course, it's easy for us to say all these things, but let's hear about what actual Acumatica users feel about the product.
So G2 is a peer review platform. It allows customers and users such as yourselves to go out and either review or look at reviews. So thousands and thousands of reviews they get all the time, and you could see from a relationship index, Acumatica is at the top for ease of business, likely to recommend, and the quality of support. And you could see this list here. And G2 does these reviews every year. They put them together, they summarize them, actually twice a year. But you can see this report here, and you're welcome to go there. You can see the individual comments on G2's website as well.
Thank you. And let's go ahead and just see real briefly a few of the recent recognition that Acumatica has seen and consistently is rewarded for.
Yeah, so you could see there's a number of awards Acumatica gets or is awarded every year. You could see a number of G2 awards. We talked about those are peer review. Nucleus Research, they are an analyst that puts together a technology value matrix. CRN, they've been around a long time, and they provided Acumatica with an award for their partners. A partner program is awarded, and that's important to you guys, right? Because the relationship Acumatica has with its partners are very important. The Cody Awards, that's almost like the Oscar of the software business, where other software companies award and vote on software awards. So very important. So these are just to name a few. You could see Nucleus Research is in there as well below. That's their Redstone review, and then Software Advice.
Thank you, Greg. All right, let's go over to industry editions.
So we talked about Acumatica and that platform and the functionality. Well, Acumatica's bundled the right functionality into the right edition. So what you need for your manufacturing company is our manufacturing edition, and that's that edition that has all the functionality needed to do that. Same thing for construction, distribution, and retail commerce edition, just so that you have everything together. You don't have to necessarily think about it. There are other options that some companies need and don't need above and beyond this, but this is the industry edition where Acumatica focuses, to give you an idea.
And not only is Acumatica spread across editions, but it's also spread across various devices. And we'll get into that a little bit about that during our demo.
Right, and Samantha's going to show, she's going to do an overview of the product in just a couple of minutes right now. But yeah, Acumatica will work on any browser, any device. It doesn't matter whether it's Safari running on Apple or Firefox running on a PC or Linux. Acumatica, again, supports that HTML5, which is cut across many different products, as well as the mobile app, which we're going to show shortly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Greg. All right, and now I'm going to hand it over to you, Samantha, for the long-awaited overview demo.
Wonderful, Justine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All righty, I am sharing my screen. I'm sure everyone can see it, but I'm sure everyone's also a little bit annoyed about having to say, can you see my screen? So I'm just going to make that assumption. And, we're going to go overview of the product today, quick high level, see if you can see yourself using this product every day as you evolve as an organization and have a system that grows with you. So the first thing that I want to mention is Acumatica is what we call a true cloud and web-based solution. So as you can see here, I'm using a web interface, in this particular instance, Google Chrome. Acumatica is compatible, however, with multiple different browsers. So you prefer to use Edge or prefer to use Mozilla. I know Greg likes to, use the different types of browsers every now and then. So, we all have our preference. I like to use Chrome. And as you can see here, I've hit a web URL. I've typed in my username and password. And I can easily access my computer from any computer anywhere in the world from any device, like Justine just mentioned. So if you happen to type in that exact URL, you're going to be taken to the exact same landing page that you just saw me using there. The nice thing is with this is we're not using VPN tunnels. We're not using remote desktop connections. This is a true cloud solution. It's one of the only ERPs, if not the only ERP, born this century and programmed from the ground up in HTML5. Which I know Greg just covered briefly in our XRP platform overview. And that's important because we are using current technology. Upon logging into the system, you saw me log in as what's called the admin user. So obviously, without going into further detail, I am an administrator. I have full access to the system. And as a result, I'm going to see all of the workspaces system-wide. Acumatica, however, is role-based though, so it's only going to give you permission to see what you've been given permission to access. But what the caveat being is we're also unlimited user. So Acumatica does not penalize customers for growth. We encourage everybody at one company to use the platform in its entirety. So this helps, a lot of companies avoid the use of having to go purchase additional products, let's say for timesheet management or expense management, something that could potentially be costly to license within an ERP system alone. Acumatica has eliminated that completely. They said, you know what, let's get everyone using the one centralized platform. We've made it role-based to accommodate that. So you're ensured that no one, who's only supposed to, let's say, log a timesheet for the day, is going to be tinkering around in your chart of accounts. That's not something that you have to worry about. Of course, you can see here right off the, upon logging in, we see a nice flashy dashboard. I'm not going to steal Gregg's thunder. He's going to cover that off just in a couple of minutes once we sort of go over through a little bit of things in detail here. But let's go over usability and navigation. Acumatica is ranked #1 in usability. And what does that mean? That means we're the easiest system to learn and use on the market. And there's a couple of reasons as to why. On the left-hand side here, we have our nice workspaces. So we have, of course, construction, project, bills and materials as it relates to manufacturing, of course, sales orders, which is relevant to most organizations. So here you can see a nice condensed sales order menu. And if you thought condensed, wow, that's a lot, I do have the ability to expand that menu option more. I can customize this how I'd like, I can, as an organization, I can pick and choose things that I'd like to see. Of course, you can see, many different reports as they relate to sales already appearing on the workspace. Acumatica has hundreds of reports available out of the box that come with every deployment. So you have those available to you, both standard and financial. And you'll notice that this menu has a lot of information on it, and that's great. But Acumatica gives you the ability to consolidate your day-to-day in one centralized screen using the favorites menu. So I can easily favorite some options by just starring the items to the left of the transaction, process, or report that I'd like, for instance. And as soon as I go back to my favorites menu, I now see those appearing in dynamic and real time on my favorites menu. This doesn't affect anybody else in the company. This is solely for me as an individual user to personalize my experience. And it does make me a little bit more efficient day to day. So I'm not having to navigate through these large workspaces with all this functionality. I can just centralize the common day-to-day tasks in one screen. You can also strike things out and it's going to eliminate them off your favorites in real time. So as soon as I toggle off the menu, when I've taken off their expense related inquiries, I can go ahead and see that they've disappeared. Not just bound to sales, I can add, let's say, things specific to manufacturing and add them to my favorites, and they're going to be able to centralize there. So as long as I have permission to the workspace, I'm going to be able to see it. In addition to that, Acumatica has a universal search feature. This is probably my favorite feature of the Acumatica system. You'll notice that as I start typing in the word sales, it starts dynamically filtering information for me. Sales orders, sales receivables, profiles, reports, everything with the word sales in it. The more I type, the more granular my search is actually going to get. The nice thing about this, and I know this might seem very 2023, and this is when we talk about, modern technology being relevant. I don't have to type in an asterisk or some sort of a wild card and hit tab. God forbid I hit enter and I'm now adding records into the system. The system is just searching for me dynamically as I type. So I feel that that's very important for me. As an old user of a different product, I know that, typing in wildcards could become a little bit daunting. So this is from a menu standpoint, right? Okay, I want to add a sales order. I can easily type in sales order and access a sales order. You'll see that my item there is favorited as well. But you also have the ability to search for specific transactions and profiles. Now, I think that this is really, really cool because as we search for, let's say, records, let's say a customer calls us, hey, Sam, I'm calling because I want to reference blah, 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 document 1839. And that was, I may have missed the first couple of digits. As soon as I get the last 4 or the last 3, whatever it is, I can type in those digits and chances are I'm going to pull up that record that customer was referencing. In this case, you'll notice we have a receipt as well as a PO with 1839. And you'll notice that I'm not having to type it exactly. The sensitivity of the search is actually pulling the last 4 digits for me. So I don't have to worry about, having missed, let's say, the first 7 characters of the invoice that the customer referenced. We also have help topics. 1839 is not going to pull up a help topic for me, so the system's going to tell me so. But as soon as I start typing in the word sales again, I can see help topics associated with the system. Let's say I want to know what a specific field does that maybe I'm not using now, but maybe I'm curious about it. This is one form of the help that Acumatica offers to you. The Acumatica community has many different aspects, the partner university, the open university, of course, the community that as you become an Acumatica customer, you're launched on society. Make you sound like a ship, but you're launched on society into this whole community of people who run Acumatica, use Acumatica, represent Acumatica like ourselves, all who are collaborating on, making this product excel every day. It's not just a piece of product anymore. It's not just a piece of, ERP or software. It really is a community that they've established. You also have user groups, right? Join a user group local to your community and go and talk to other customers, and see if there's any way you can leverage the system in similar ways. Those are all capabilities that we offer. But back to the product, we also offer files as additional, searching capabilities, because yes, you do have the ability to store files and records against the system at all times. So whether it be an Excel sheet, a picture, which I'm going to show you here in just a couple of minutes when we get into mobile, you do have the ability to store files and against transactions and profiles of the system at both the header levels, but also at the line levels. In addition to that, we have just a quick little history function, self-explanatory. Any of the recent transactions that I was working with here will list at the top 100 level. You'll see here I was working on a pivot table. Again, not going to steal Gregg's thunder. He's going to cover that because, yeah, we can track pivot tables in Acumatica. But you can also track things on the left-hand side. You can see it's categorized by AR, attributes, or different sort of sections of the system. You do have the ability to categorize them on the left-hand side. And you can also favorite them. So if you want to, store a particular record because it's going to come up in the coming days, you can favorite it so it's easily accessible for you. So that's just a little bit about, usability, navigation. How do you use the system? The system has a lot of capability, and we always, like to emphasize, okay, real time, but how real time is real time? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually switch gears. I'm going to share my mobile screen, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a sales order, which we could technically do from our sales order workspace here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a sales order from my mobile device. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my mobile screen here just in a minute. And I'm going to show you what it looks like to add a sales order into the system from my mobile. So let me bring that up. And here you can see my mobile device appearing here. I'm going to also take off my do not disturb because that might not be very relevant when we want to have some push notifications get sent. Now, the nice thing you'll notice is we actually have an app. So although you could access it from the browser on your phone, in this case, you can see I'm using an iPhone, you could actually access it from Safari. I'm going to go straight into the Acumatica app that comes standard with every deployment of Acumatica that every user can have access to. So you're going to see here, we're accessing the same site. I'll type in my username and password if I'm traditional, or I can just use the Face ID recognition to log into my Acumatica instance on my mobile device. In seconds, you see that I've loaded, a couple of things relevant to me that I want to show on my mobile. You can see some KPIs here that, again, I can drill into, some dashboard specifics. You can see my recently visited transactions, expense receipts, which I'll also get into here momentarily as well if we have some time. But what I want to show you here is let's go ahead and add a sales order to the system. So as soon as I drill down into sales order, I have the ability to click on sales order, which will open up this exact list we see here. Or if I click on the plus record, it's going to take me right to a new sales order creation. So what I'll do is I can go ahead and see that, okay, I'm going to add a customer, and I'm doing this all mobile. So if I'm at the airport traveling, or somebody asks me to enter the sales order on their behalf, I can easily do that. Type in the information. I can go ahead and add a description. This is a description. You'll notice that the voice to text, compatible with the iPhone keyboard also works there. And once I've entered my customer, I'll go to my details tab and enter what they're going to buy. So in this case, I'm just going to say they're going to purchase maybe some, let's say, laptops. So I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to buy a laptop. They're going to buy, I don't know, let's say a quantity of 3 in this case. You'll notice that unit price changed because we've got a quantity break there, right? Something that we can easily support. As soon as I go to 2, the price is going to change to 500. But as soon as I type 3, I got a nice group discount being applied there. So that's why that price is changing for me there. At that point, I can go ahead and update. I'm going to update this sales order, and I'm going to go ahead and save it from my mobile. So I've just gone ahead, added a couple laptops for this particular customer. a quantity of 3. As soon as I refresh it, I see that new sales order I just created in real time appearing in the system. That's really great. The other thing I want to do though, let's say, is attach a file. Maybe I want to, take a picture of what I want to sell this particular customer, this particular laptop. So I'm going to go ahead and take a photo, and I'm going to take a photo just of my nice peaceful environment here and say, this is what I want to attach to the sales order because for some strange reason it's relevant. And as soon as I do that, it's going to attach for me here. And I can go back, and as soon as I refresh, I can see that nice little notification showing me in orange that there is an actual pop-up here from an attachment perspective. So Acumatica is very real time as it relates to, mobility and being able to have users dynamically working in the system at all times. I've added this for this customer, I've added these laptops, the quantity of 3. And then when I drill down into my files, I can see that image that I've just taken appearing here in real time against this particular sales order. Now, mobile is very important because it's very relevant, right? We're all using our phones day in and day out. Using a web interface might be something we might want to do, but we have the system giving us ability to also prompt us. So for instance, I can upload, now as a user working in the office, I can say, all right, I'm going to drag and drop something from my desktop, which I just did. I'm going to drag and drop that as an attachment from my desktop because I have, Samantha's just added this, so now I can add the additional component. I've added something now on my desktop and I go, oh crap, 20 minutes later, Samantha forgot to actually, send me another thing or an image or a picture. I can also upload using mobile app. Now this is available system wide. So what I'm going to do is actually show you what that looks like. And as soon as I click upload using mobile app, the system's going to send me a push notification alerting me while I'm eating my lunch peacefully, upload a file, tap to attach to the record. I'm like, oh, Greg forgot to, add something. So I'll go ahead and add it for him. It's going to take me right to where I need to be. I'll take that photo again, take a picture. That's my nice dog. Go ahead and say that's what you needed. There you go. Have the attachment that you need. It sent me the prompt, and in real time, it's going to update that attachment for me as well. So you have that upload using mobile app feature available to you at all times. So a little bit of functionality as far as it relates to mobile and how important it is and relevant in modern technology in modern days. And I do find that having an application does, make things a little bit easier. Now, just to kind of wrap up my section here before I hand it over to Paul, who's got way cooler things to talk about, Acumatica gives you mobility for your company across, the entire organization, whether it be, like I said, entering time and expenses, CRM, if you've got a sales force on the road, have them tracking leads, opportunities on the road, updating their accounts, project tracking. Yes, we do have the ability to track project accounting. Very, very powerful module, very large module. And we certainly love our project-based companies as well. Sales orders, like I just showed you, we entered a sales order right from our mobile, but we do have a lot of capabilities available to us. Equipment tracking, do you service or manage equipment? We have that capability. Manufacturing, and then of course you can also scan from a warehouse management standpoint from your mobile device as well. But really quick, what I'm going to conclude with today is I'm going to log a time or an expense receipt from my mobile device. So I'll go ahead and click on expenses, and I'm just going to go ahead and add an expense receipt. I'll go ahead and capture a new expense receipt, and the system's actually going to open up my camera for me right away. Now, because this is a demo system, we don't actively use it, but the system actually has the capability to recognize the receipt. The more you use it, the more you populate it, the smarter it actually gets. So it's going to start pre-populating things for you. So I'm going to say description. Very, very detailed items and stuff here. I can fill in the gaps that it misses if it hasn't recognized, but like I mentioned, it will get smarter the more and more you use it. Here I can enter the amount if needed. Hasn't captured much, but I can go ahead and click done. And once I'm done, I can go ahead and save this expense receipt. You'll notice that it's also storing it as a file attached to this particular receipt. And if I wanted to add another one from, let's say, a couple of, another receipt or another image, I can certainly do that as well. As soon as I save that expense receipt, when I go back into my expense receipts module, again, right, we're dealing with a real-time system, very, very modern. We can see that receipt appearing here. As soon as I drill down into it for that total, I've gone ahead and added that receipt. There's my file attached to this, so accounting's not going to have a nightmare as far as, being able to track receipts. It's associated with every receipt when you take the image. And you can make things like that mandatory by defining workflows. So that's all I wanted to show you guys today. I hope you enjoyed my section. And at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Paul to talk a little bit about field services.
Thank you very much, Samantha. You did a very good job with your section. I really appreciate the information. As we look at Acumatica as an ERP system, it is because of its disruptive licensing and ability to communicate out of a platform that this product acts so greatly in vertical markets. One of the vertical markets that we like to distribute or show is a field service market, maybe like an HVAC or an IT company that goes out on the road and services their customers. The product, because of that disruptive licensing where you're not paying per each user, you can have every single person in your organization using the product. It means that it democratizes information and allows everybody to have access to the things that they need access to real time and in the right place wherever they happen to be. And I think I'd like to demonstrate that by just setting up a new appointment. And let's look at Acumatica communicating with our work staff and also communicating with our customers. We are able to, during a phone call with a customer, accept information about the customer. We can look them up by their name, by the contact information of the person we're talking to, by their phone number if we wish to. We provide then some information for our staff. And while we're doing this, we can also add additional notes, either from the customer's default information, or we can add additional notes on the fly about what the reason for this visit is, how to get to the correct people on site, how to get to the guard shack. Those things that we need to know as we communicate with our employees, things that we would have to remember and call and provide information about if we weren't talking about it right here in the application. So in just a few clicks, I've been able to set up an appointment. I have been able to assign this appointment to one of my employees. And I have also been able to provide some notes to my employees about the items that they need to work on. When I save this in the system, you're going to hear a little notification here, and it's going to automatically send information to my cell phone, my mobile application. So we'll take off the personal email there. And here we've got a text from Products Wholesale that I've been assigned appointment at 6385. And I also have a new appointment notification, a push notification directly from Acumatica. So those have been provided for me so that I can go in and do my work within the mobile app. Now, as I open up my mobile app, I can open it up directly from that text, or I can open it up directly from inside of that notification, or I can come in here and start to work with it. The mobile app now becomes a powerful tool for our technicians to use. First off, it can show the technicians where they need to go by using the addresses within Acumatica. It will provide directions. It will provide pictures of the location, everything I need in order to know where I'm going and who I am servicing on this call. We provide ways for technicians to drill into customer information. That customer information may include account information like how much they owe us, if they're behind on their payments. It may include appointment history so that I can see what appointments have been open for this customer and can see a history of what we've been doing for this customer during the life of the customer. And then finally, the notes that we've added to the case, files or blueprints that we have on file with the customer. All of those become available for my technicians in the mobile app. When we begin something like this appointment, we start logging time against the appointment. We then become a quasi timesheet and time clock for our technicians. So we're taking the power of the phone and we're adding to that, making it better, easier for our technicians in the field. We provide places to add details. As Samantha has shown you earlier, being able to come in and being able to dictate service notes, being able to tell what's going on and when, and all of this real time is being added to that appointment. So a supervisor, a dispatcher can see this in real time. So it gives us not only a way to track information in the field, it gives us a way to communicate out of the field without ever picking up the telephone part of our mobile device. And of course, we also have other features that are available. We can add information like parts right from our van or right from the warehouse onto the application. Because Acumatica has other modules available, we can add purchase orders directly into the appointment. We can use that advanced expense feature that Samantha just showed and use that to add additional cost or parts to our appointment. When our appointment is completed, we can come in and have the customer do things like sign for their appointment, make sure that they have seen what the appointment is done and what we have done for that appointment. And then we can complete the appointment. And once we complete that appointment, that changes the status within Acumatica in the office at the same time, because we're not using some sort of mobile app that's going to batch and upload at some future point. We are real time working with Acumatica on a mobile device that is communicating directly with Acumatica on our browser-based version of the product. And so we can see that this appointment has been completed and finished. We can see that there are notes that have been added to the detail level. We can even see where the technician logged into and logged out of the appointment so that we can know exactly where they were when they logged in, started the appointment, and where they were when they logged in and stopped the appointment. With that, Greg, I believe that you are the next up on the list.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Awesome. Awesome. Very exciting stuff. Love it. All right, I'm going to share my screen also. And at this point, I'm not going to ask whether everybody can see it, because who's going to answer me anyway? So when we talk about, a system, Acumatica is not user-based pricing. So we want everybody on the system, as many people as possible. Instead of having silos of data in Excel spreadsheets, data in another database, data in a different system, having everybody in the same system, in this platform, this modern platform we talk about, is very powerful. But then the other issue to consider is, what are we doing with all this data? How do we know what's going on in the system? So, and for that, we need powerful reporting. We need powerful, the powerful ability to look at data and be able to navigate through it. So what we're looking at here is an inquiry screen. It's in Acumatica's vernacular, it's a generic inquiry. Generic because you can do any kind of thing that you want with it. An inquiry screen because this is a screen that happens to be out of the box. Throughout Acumatica, when you're looking at a list of sales orders or a list of checks or a list of invoices or a list of vendor bills, whatever it is, there are inquiry screens that give you your list. So we're looking at a sales profitability analysis. It's out of the box with Acumatica. And you can see at the top of the screen, I have all these different columns. I can move these columns around if I want to. I can drop any columns that I want. I can click on any column and get a context-sensitive option of being able to sort or filter by. I can create a quick filter, so I can say, you know what, I want to see a date range that is greater than or equal to, and I could just pick something. You could do dynamic fields too, but I'm going to say I want to see only things in 2023. I could save it, and I'll call it 2023, and I could share it with other people I want to. And now I have a nice filter up here. So I've managed to get all of my records, and now I have a 2023 bucket. You can do any filters. You can compound them with ands and ors. So now we have that. And from a listing standpoint, notice this is a list of all of the items that are sold at a transactional level. So it's not just about the order or the invoice. It's about all the individual details within them. So for example, you can see here is a computer that was sold on this date, on this invoice, with this net sale and this cost and this margin. It's giving us good information. Of course, I could add anything to this. That's why the inquiry screens are so configurable. But what if I wanted to change the screen around? You know, from a data standpoint, I want it to be easy. It's one of the reasons that we rank very high in customer usability is our ability to get to information very quickly and easily. So if I went back to my generic inquiry and I went to our navigation page, these are all the tabs for the inquiry, I can add different things. I can add different links if I want to open up something. I can add, for example, a link, a hyperlink to the customer, to the order, and all that. But in this case, I'm going to give myself a link to the sales order page, right? So sales order, and I'll go down to our transaction screen. It's under the S's. And sales order here. And I have an option. I could say, oh, I want to pop it up in a new tab. I want to do the same tab. I want to do a side panel. So to do that, I can link whatever data I see in that inquiry, I could link it and send along enough information so that the sales order can open up and it can show me that particular sales order. So I'll need the order number. All of this stuff is relatively easy because we know what we're looking for, right? It's giving us the different tabs here. So the sales order number, and then we want the type. These two things generally go together because you could have a different sales order type and you don't want to open up the wrong one. We save that. We can give it an icon if we want to, give it anything. And we'll say sales order, save it. We'll come back to our profitability analysis and we'll refresh. And notice the side panel now. So as I'm highlighting a particular record, if I click over here, I can now see a pop-up of my sales order as I traverse the different records. So side panels are very powerful. You can do it throughout the system. If you have a sales order up on the screen and you want to see a listing of customers' payments or invoices, you can do that. Notice that I can move up and down with these and it'll continue to change the different records there. And if it's something that you can edit, no problem there too. It's something you can edit on the fly. In this case, these are all completed orders, so they're all grayed out. And this is what the order looks like as we move up and down. Okay. So that's a little bit about our inquiry screens. But what else do I do with them? How do I report? How do I understand things? Well, if I go back to all records, every single record, maybe I want to do a pivot table. So I can say here, maybe I want orders, or I'm sorry, sales by year, by item, by customer, how about? So I can do this, I click this, and I'll say okay. And very quickly, and if you've used pivot tables with Excel, you know how easy that is. This is easier. So I'll take my customer, I'll make it my row. I'll take my date, I'll make it the column. But I don't want every date because that would be a little too messy. I'm going to round to the year. Now, what do I want to see as my summary of the customer and the date against the year? What I want to see is the total net sale. Put that up here. And notice it's going to sum it. But I could do other things here. I'm displaying a value, but I could display a percentage instead. But I turn this off. And now what I get out of this is all of that information. I get the total sales by customer by year. So this is very powerful, very quick to get good, powerful information, really quick and easy. And you could make as many of these tabs as you want. This is saved now. So I don't have to go back and do that over and over again. Something that a user that really needs this information but doesn't know how to go out to Excel and put all that together, this is super easy and it's saved. And it's not just enough about getting the information. Of course, I can sort by who was the leader in 2023. I can just click here and it'll tell me who was the leader, what for this customer, who's the leader, what was their biggest sales. I can click on that and get that sort. But it's not so much about seeing that individual information. I can click on any number and get those records and start to drill down. So again, very usable screen. These inquiry screens allow you to navigate, allow you to see additional information, allow you to report on it. You can put it into Excel. If you do that, you can hit the refresh button in Excel and it'll go back and collect the latest data from Acumatica. So we do a great job of that. So this is our inquiry screen. So now we have a good idea of data, right? We can do this everywhere in the system. We can add to this. We can add additional tables very easily. We can add additional columns very easily. So the data it's endless. What we can accomplish with our data set, and anything in the system we can get to. But now, what if I wanted to put this on a dashboard? Some of this information. I can go to my dashboards. We have a number of them set up in the demo company as a set of dashboards. We deliver quite a few out of the box for your company when you set it up. But maybe I want to go to my sales manager dashboard and take a look at that dashboard and the way it looks out of the box as it comes up right now. And again, as you can see, we have a number of different dashboards that are categorized. There's a sales manager, but there's also a sales manager for CRM. There are two different types of views that you might have. So this is the sales manager from an inventory standpoint, and it essentially shows all these different pieces of information, all these KPIs. There's a chart here and all sorts of stuff. If I click on the design, I can move things around, make it very easy to organize this. I can edit any of these, we call them widgets, make changes to them. How do I want to analyze this? Well, the orders pending approval are green because they're good. We're in a good scenario. Maybe I have a warning color. Maybe I have an alert warning or more of a serious critical error warning. We can do that. But if I wanted to add a new widget, and maybe I want to add, for example, a KPI from our sales profitability analysis screen. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, I can come over here. I'll search for an Acumatica. It's easy to search. You just need a few letters and you can find it. The screen. This is all the different screens. We can pick any screen in the software, any screen or any inquiry. So the inquiry we're going to pull up is right here. Now we can use any shared filters. Notice the 2023 filter that we had there. I could do that, or I could do a filter on the fly. So here I can say, for example, the date is equal to, or maybe greater than or equal to, and I could pick a date. In this case, I'll pick maybe January 2021, or I could pick a date range, right? I could say is greater than and it's less than, maybe I only want to pick a certain date range. I could do that if I need to. But in this case, we're going to get everything up to the present from that date. And then what do I want to aggregate? So this is, again, a KPI, right? It's going to aggregate a piece of information. When we go back to our profitability analysis, we have net sale, we have cost, we have margin. Maybe I want my margin percentage, right? What am I making across all the products? So I can come over here and I could say I want to aggregate the margin percentage. And my function, I'm not going to count that because that would be silly. That would just give me the total number of records. Don't need that. but I want to take the average. In some scenarios, I would sum it. Sum is very popular, but in this case, I'm going to average it because to add all the percentages up wouldn't make sense. So we'll average that. We can set up normal and alarm levels. That will dictate the colors. We can choose between a scorecard and a meter. So for example, maybe we want, if we put in our alarm level being 10% and our normal level being, maybe 35%. And then we have our colors here. So yellow being in between these two. You can have different values. You can have dynamic values. Here it says fixed, but and then our normal value. So anything over 35 will be teal, and we'll give it a caption. So this will be margin average over last year. We'll click finish on this, and you could see it. So now when we hit design, we can move this around. You can see over that period of time, those 2 years, I think it was, we have a 36.99%, and we're doing well. So here's a gauge we can put on our dashboard. It all came from our profitability analysis. Now, one other thing I want to show, all of this data is also very important. We report on it. We look at reports all day long. We want to see things. But to one of the things we talked about earlier, we have business events. And I won't create a whole business event due to the fact that we're running low on time. But our business events allow us to create some sort of alert based on some sort of piece of information. So what does that mean? Well, it means anything we want. Essentially, any piece of field, any data that hits a certain level, a certain criteria, we can do something with it. And what can we do with it? Well, we'll take a look at track package, just as an example. So this says, as soon as a package gets a value of confirmed, so this is when we ship out a product and we confirm that it's shipped out, which means we get our tracking information, this is an agreeable event that's going to trigger something. It's triggered by record change. So what are we doing with it? Well, we're sending out an email. And that email goes out to who? Well, the customer, of course. And this is what it looks like. You could put any HTML in here you want. It's going to the contact, the person that bought the product from us, and that'll go through that. We can attach a report, a copy of the packing slip if we want to, right here. And if I go back to business events, what else can I do other than send an email? Well, you can do all these things. You could do a task to follow up with the customer in 7 days or some number of days. You can create a task for somebody to follow up. How was your order? You could do a Microsoft Teams notification if you have Teams. You could send out a text message, a mobile push notification. So all of these things are possible using our business events. So again, the ability to report all this data that we collect and aggregate into the system, the ability to report and see things the way we want with side panels, with pivot tables, the ability to also send and fire alerts based on critical information that I need to know about. And that's my portion of it. Data is so important, but if you can't get a handle on it, then you're swimming. So that's it.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay.
Wonderful. That was fantastic. So we have a few minutes left. Should we head over to Q&A?
Sure.
All righty. I'll just go ahead and share my screen. So while we're waiting for those questions to be populated, I'm just going to go ahead and share what we have left. So one thing that makes Cloud9, in my opinion, and of course I'm biased because I work in client success, but what makes us very special is that we have client success and experience as our top priority. And so that's really what makes Cloud9 ERP Solutions an ideal Acumatica partner for your business. And of course, you don't have to take it from me, but I'll leave these up if you'd like to read them just briefly while we're waiting for those questions. And you can take it from our clients instead. And feel free, team, to chime in at any time with some questions that come up.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Q&A questions. One question that came up is, do we support multiple companies? And the answer to that is yes. We support multiple companies in two different ways. One of them is a separate tenant. You may have seen in our tech slide that we support multi-tenant. That means that when you log in, there's an option for a company that you can choose, and it's a separate altogether system with this complete set of books that are separate. But we also support the ability to integrate them together in departments and different companies. So if you share product, if you happen to share customers, you can still divide those lines where you can say these salespeople can get to these customers, these financial people can get to these companies or branches. So we have the best of all worlds, and then our reporting, true to form of what we talked about earlier, our financial reporting is super powerful and gives us the ability to consolidate as well as show all the information in different columns. We even have an Excel-based financial reporting tool called Elixo, which is super powerful. All right. And another question that came up, custom reports. So what we talked about was the inquiry screens and how you can make them anything you want, which is great. But we also have form-based reports. So where it relates to a sales order or an invoice or any kind of report where you like those form-based reports, Acumatica ships with its own report designer. It's really powerful because the reports are all stored in the database. So as soon as you save them, you can have different versioning on them. But as soon as you save them, they're there. And you don't have to worry about, where's that report file? How do I edit it? It's all in the system. Again, modern platform, very important. The other question we had was, can I import data? Yeah, Acumatica's integration services, also consistent with our ability to have web services and integration points with other software. We also have the ability to import any type of file, Excel being the most common, but comma delimited, you name it. And we can synchronize with an FTP site. So let's say this is a file that changes every day. It's a vendor pricing file that your vendor changes. You can synchronize that and in the background, schedule those updates without any user intervention. So very powerful, the ability to import data and also do it unattended because you can save these import scenarios. You could save these import scenarios and not have to redo them. A lot of software packages have this wizard that you go through. Another question is our licensing model. We talked about how it's unlimited users, and that allows you to grow. So Acumatica is more on consumption. You look at, for example, AWS and Azure, you pay for only what you use. Having said that, the ability to have as many users on as you want, whether it's a busy weekend, a busy time of year, you can add on these people and they're all part of this one system, which gives you that real-time data and alerts. Another question came up is, what is your typical implementation timeline? Well, that's flexible. It depends on the company, depends on what you're looking to do. Every company's different. A very quick financial only implementation can go as quick as 30 to 60 days. If you have a manufacturing facility with many different work centers, many different bill of materials, you have configurations that you're doing, then those kinds of things can take upwards of 9 months to 12 months to more, depending upon the software's flexible. One of the things we always promote is start off in a phased approach. Don't try to do too much all at once. Get your core business functioning on the system, and then adding on is a breeze. And I think that's it. I think that's covers it. That's all the time we have now. If we want to make our closing remarks, Justine, and put up our slide of our contact information.
Sure thing. Awesome. Thank you so much. Great timing. So we are officially at 3 p.m. Eastern. And so if you're interested in learning more about the features and functionalities that you saw today, or you have something else in mind, please reach out to us. We offer free ERP consultations. Of course, you can also browse our Acumatica YouTube video on our YouTube library that has hundreds of videos with a lot of other features and functionalities that we did not have time to show you today. That's our URL as well if you want to find some other important information on our product. All right, and here is our YouTube page. You can find it best by just searching Cloud9 ERP Solutions, and you'll find our web page. Again, every Tuesday, we have a new video. So like I said, we have hundreds of videos for you to choose from. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, we will be reaching out after this webinar. We hope you found the demos and the information exciting, and we look forward to speaking with you. Thank you so much, Cloud9 team.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.